Hello guys, welcome to the Trading Parrot and to another live session. In today's stream, we're going to look a little bit into Bitcoin. I'm seeing potentially that we are exiting from this trading range in here, which could be interesting. So far, we managed to close right against the resistance. So I want to give an update on that, a setup that I already mentioned in the main video. Today's video, we're going to look into altcoins. We are going to accept requests. So if you got any specific coin that you want me to review, we can look into that. We can look into liquidity levels. What is my feeling about it? This specific live stream, we're gonna take also the request from my elite members. So I got in here 5 coins coming from them and 1 ETF. So we'll do that as well in the beginning of the stream. Once we finish and complete with reviewing all of those, we're gonna jump into the request on the comments. So make sure that your coin is in the comments and make sure that you're noisy, because basically the way I pick the coins to review during the stream is the latest comment wins. So keep that comment rolling to make sure that we take your request first. Let's go with Bitcoin. As I mentioned, we're going to start with that. We had this head and shoulder that broke down, and before it managed to hit the technical target of 63,845, it came back from halfway through to do a retest. But here's the thing. My neckline is at 68K, as I mentioned in the previous video, but actually the neckline is, to be more precise, 67A54. And we just put a candle that broke up that level. I will say that that is a positive thing if I saw the momentum breaking out beyond that level of resistance, which I left in the previous video as 45.11, but the point of impact in practice was 46.39. So you can tell that momentum has closed right at the resistance. It hasn't broken out, whereas price has, in a way. So that is just a small hint towards a potential failure, because we close right at the resistance. This could mean that we get rejected back down in here, and that could, the reason I'm saying that is because this is a breakout area for price, and traders tend to trade that. And if momentum is not following through with that, is 1 point against the bullish setup. And notice I'm interested in that bullish setup because I'm involved, right? I entered at 67 point something and I'm expecting this to go back up there. So hopefully we get the breakout, but I'm saying that in the beginning, you know, it's exciting, but it's not as promising as if we had the breakout on the momentum first, right? So let's leave that there. Watch the main video for the rest of the setup and all the considerations of the risk management and all of that. We're going to now start doing the requests from my elite members after we get to finish all of those. Notice that if you're an elite member, you still have access to the poll unit where you can vote 5 coins. That is your allocation. So make sure that you vote. If you want to vote during the stream, that's fine. I got the poll right next to me. And I'm going to start with the general markets here. Just one request I have from that, and is this asset called XOP, State Street SPDR, S&P Oil and Gas Exploration. So let's have a look at how this is looking on the weekly. So it's rallying this past few weeks. Hopefully it's going to exit this range into the next range. Oh, this looks really bullish. So look at this setup. This starts from 2015. It did this, then that, and then you got a potential head and shoulder. Let's be a bit more precise on where to place that thing. So we are approaching 162, and momentum is already in the area of the breakout. So remember, we want momentum to precede price. Obviously, the golden entry, my prefer, if you've been in the channel, is right there. But I didn't even know this asset, so I'm just telling you that will be the sweet spot to enter if you are envisioning that you're going to produce an inverse head and shoulder. That's the best risk to reward entry. Now we are still before we get into the breakout, so it is not as bad as entering right at the breakout, because on the breakout this could act as a resistance, because it is a resistance, and push you back down and then put you underwater, and maybe the whole setup fails. So that's the worst time to enter. But we are halfway or 2/3 approaching that resistance. So I will say we're getting into the area of you already missed the train. But this could be a setup that breaks out to the upside. And possibly we have some fair value gaps in here at 233, at 280. So maybe it's going to go for those. The technical target, though, the most bullish target that I can give you is probably this getting into $300, and it's been already to $300 in 2014. So it could go there for revenge, but be careful. Be careful with the entry. Hopefully you are already allocated at the lows, and now you're just eating popcorn risk-free. Let's go with the next one, which is probably one that you're going to be interested to hear all the insights, is Ethereum, that is now approaching a very interesting support here at 1700. I did add to my position. Remember that I rally all the bull market with tons of Ethereum, and I sold like if it was the end of the world as we were approaching 4.9, where I ended up saying publicly I sold my last bit of Ethereum. So I hope I'm right on this, because all this way in here I was on holidays, I was in Chile, and I was constantly checking my phone and selling and a lot of Ethereum. So it better worked, and it did. Actually it did. We are in the middle of an ABC wave down, and that could stop at 1700. It could stop slightly lower. It could break down that support. There's tons of theories out there. So let's look at what we have in the data, and let me see if I have access to this. Do I have access? Ethereum. Oh yeah. Okay. So we have CryptoQuant. We'll comment a little bit on the on-chain data on Ethereum as well. I think it's worth. What is this? Ethereum BTC. Oh wow, that's the perfect retest. We'll cover that as well. We got the 1700. That is getting interesting. Okay, it's not gonna be the perfect bottom, but as we approach these levels, in my opinion, it's worth getting a bit more aggressive. Of course, you can go to the lows and even take these lows of 900. I wonder why I have this white line there. Let me see. This is 24. Final support is around 24. Yeah, that 24 is if we repeat the previous performance of the RSI landing around here, right? If we connect this low with that low, then the next low is at 24. So into 1100 is more or less when the RSI lands at that point. If you're new to RSI, many people are not new to RSI. That's the thing. They've been using RSI for 10 years, just repeating the two learnings that everybody does, 30 and 70. That's it. No one knows anything else apart from that, which is really disappointing. But if you get to 24, does that mean that the price needs to stop there? Well, if you are not answering, well, that depends if you put a bullish divergence. And if you don't understand what I'm saying, you really don't know much about RSI. And this is not intended to, make you feel bad, but I'm trying to encourage you to learn a little bit more about your indicators, particularly if you think that you've been using RSI. Maybe you haven't. We are in the middle in here of looking for a breakout in here, because I think this is going to be the wave into bear market. Well, we are already in the bear market, but this is going to be the area where we look for the bottom. That bottom could happen at support in here. It could happen at 1,000, sub 1,000. We don't know. And I think that's the most important thing about Ethereum at the moment, looking for where should we be accumulating. And I think that 1800, I didn't add there because I thought that is the bottom. I added there because I thought it's a sweet spot for some move to the upside and some exposure to start accumulation. It's definitely, I don't have a lot of confidence that this is the actual bottom. This is one potential bottom in the way to the final bottom. And those tend to be sexy, because if Bitcoin bounces from here at 67 and it moves to 74, we could see a strong wave into, who knows, 2800, and with my average that will be some profits. Yeah, all right, so let's look at more data. Longs are definitely at the lows. It's as low as this wave down, so we are as little lows as we were when we were trading at 26, and then we rally into 34. That was almost a 1K up. This wave in here in the bull market, of course, we cannot compare pairs with apples, but that is the amount of longs. Is similar to where we are now. If you put a vertical, horizontal line, is the same place. And that rally, I'm not saying we're going to rally like that because we're not in a bull market, but some bounce is potential. And I think some exposure is definitely not stupid. In here, we got against Bitcoin, against also some levels that we use as support, as a resistance in the past. The breakout, this long-term move down of the RSI, is now coming for a retest down there. So there might be some rotation. If Bitcoin was to move up here, it will allow for Ethereum to chase that, and a chase of Ethereum in here in this chart will look like a bounce from that level, if you know what I mean. Now, if Bitcoin goes to 48 tomorrow because something broke in the general markets, it can happen, that, right? I'm not neglecting that. I'm not perma-bull, perma-bear, nothing. I'm just, you know, making money out of the volatility of the market, really, and not out of being right. That's not what I need. Let's see how we are landing in here with this data. But is Ethereum at 19? What's the current price? 1985. Okay, yeah, that's fine. 1981 in here. And spot average order size is showing big well orders. Futures is showing big well orders at the moment. Spot taker CBD is starting to get more taker buy. So people are becoming more aggressive both on futures and on spot. That's positive. A few months ago, everything was in the red. Now we have some green. So that adds up to that narrative of some move to the upside. Notice that covering properly Ethereum is absolutely worth it, because we cannot really get anywhere with any other coin if Ethereum doesn't move up. It can happen, but that will be an exception. So on the daily, what we are seeing in here is the daily RSI on Ethereum is reclaiming global support. Bitcoin did that, and Ethereum is repeating that, and that is another reason to believe, because this is a high, it's not a golden entry, but it's a high likely scenario that this is going to do something to the upside from here. We got plenty of liquidation levels taken out of the way, and these ones that now look small used to be large, way larger than this. Now, if you want to be aware of the risk to the downside, what are the three levels at the moment that look more scary to enter in a long? And that is a must know answer. We have 1700, we have 1500 or 1460, and then we have here 1281, which is currently the largest. For a move down in here to actually play out, we will require Bitcoin to go possibly to the low 50s, if not 48, where we have this equivalent level number 7 on Bitcoin. I think it's low likely, but it's possible, right? You just need the general markets to puke 10 to 20, and you get to number 7 like this, nothing. But it's low likely, because I don't think we are going to time perfectly the general markets doing that. We could stay here the full stupid year trying to time when the general market's going to do that, and then we're going to miss every stupid bounce to the upside as well. So solution, small size. I mean, trim a little bit your position and get some exposure to upside. Keep the endorphins happy with if you get the upside, but at the same time you can sleep if it's wrong. And I think that is my approach. You don't have to do the same, but that's the way I do it. To the upside, now we can rally into 25. There's a decent level there. We really need Bitcoin to move way higher for Ethereum now at this point to chase the liquidity at 35, and anything that is beyond that point that increases up until 5,000. To get there, pretty much, that's a V recovery. In that, if we get to $5,000 with Ethereum now and Bitcoin goes into 130K, I will say, there you go. That is the, what is it called? The extended cycle. You know, we broke the cycle and now we're going to do 8-year cycles or whatever. I don't think it's going to happen. It's very low likely, but there you go. That's the liquidity. That's the motivation to go in that direction, which was also there in 2022, and it didn't happen either. So we'll see. Right. Ethereum, what else can I say? I cover, I think, everything. Let's go with Solana, which is the third request from my elite community. It's my Patreon community, my elite members. And we were talking about Solana last week. We were talking about the potential to get into this Confluence area there. There's multiple things going on between 68 to 54, a range of around $10 that it takes a spotlight in here. Why? Because it's been putting lower lows, pinching 92, and it seems natural to think that if this pukes, the next area to get hit is 66, 65. Then you have this horizontal level right there at 60. And let me see. We haven't done this with Solana. Okay, let's do it today. No, we're not going to get that low. I don't think we're going to get that low. Are we? Are we gonna get that low? 20. Let's do it correctly. Like that, a bit higher. Let's say it takes some time. 21. Do you want to know where is that price? It's gonna be really ugly. Let's look for 21. But I used to have 24. Why 24? That's from the chart of Bitcoin. There you go. Let's ignore that. 21. Where are you? That cannot be 21. It is 21. Oh my God. It's not that low. Let me put it higher. That is a price of $25. Okay. That's not too bad. I'm happy to wait for $21, but that's the previous range. Well, basically, this is saying that if we lose the area of the Confluence at 65, then we go to the previous range, which seems natural if you lose the 65. If you hold the 65, the 60s to 57, I will call that the first area of accumulation for Solana in the bear market. That is kind of the hopium level. Let's get there. Let's buy that level, small amount. Then, if this pukes into 25, we buy the heck of it on Solana. Yeah, that will be my plan. And if we don't go to 25, we shut up and we rally with what we have at 60. And we hopefully get other opportunities from other coins, from other things. We don't have to force it. Okay? That's important. Let's move this line. Whoa, by the way, this pinched the level. I'm so stupid. Look, I had this line in front. This went to 67. So that target is already there. Oh my God, I missed buying at 67. Hell. I have alerts. It's just that I have an overwhelming amount of alerts and I need to do a cleanup because too many alerts is like not having alerts really. I missed that entry at 67. Damn it, I was going to say FU. I should say FU. Anyways, I hope this doesn't rally back into 128 because I'm not going to chase that. But 67 was beautiful. Ah, my God, I missed that. Anyways, let's go into liquidity on Solana. I'm having a great time, but I'm realizing I'm doing stupid stuff. Guys, did you buy at 67 Solana? Let me know. We can go for SUI. There's so many people asking for SUI, for DOT. And yeah, we got 24 people every time I do a live stream. I have 1/3 of the amount that I had before, and that is extremely bullish. And the day that there is one person, I'm gonna buy everything literally. Solana. So it's defending the 79 as a potential double bottom formation. It did this week in there. Remember that I'm expecting on Bitcoin to defend the 62,000 like it did in previous cycle, and where we defended the 18 after this wave down, which I compared to the one in 2022. So if we defend the 62 on Bitcoin somewhere around here, or we defend what we are defending now, which is 65.9, then Solana is going to complete that double bottom and have some rally, and it's going to remind me every day that I didn't buy 67, for Christ's sake. Anyways, look at how beautiful is the entry there with very little number of longs and socials at 5%. That's a local low since October 2024. My God. Maybe I'm going to buy less at 78, just a tiny bit. And if it goes to support again and I get lucky, then I buy the rest. So be it. And that is Solana. Let's go with the next one, which is Hype. We're going to go quicker now because the first two are full in depth. Then we go faster. So we are turning potentially $29 into support. That's what's currently happening. If Bitcoin defends that level as well, we are going to have some relief in here and continuation of this breakout, definitely. Let's look at liquidity with Hype. What? Do we really have 2 years? Oh, gosh. I won the 3 months. I guess that's all I get. Otherwise, I need to subscribe, which I'm not going to do. I don't pay for a single product. It's not that they are bad, but you know, you're an influencer. At least I want some advantage. If they want me to showcase this every day, give it to me for free. You know what I mean? So there's a breakdown in here. From this needs to now put a new high. We're on the 3 month. We are defending 28.5, turning it into support. Liquidation levels. There is that 20, but for reaching that 20, Bitcoin needs to put a new low. If Bitcoin doesn't put a new low, Hype will go and chase the upper end. Let's go with the next one, which is TAO. TAO USDT on Binance. That battle seems already lost in here of that support. I place a line at the lowest price in history for BitTensor, and you can tell that it was a significant level because last week it was holding 162, which is the lowest level. This week is trading below at 156. Notice that there is October 12th, that liquidation, but that's only Binance. If you change text exchange, let's say we go here, then you don't get that level. So that's why I'm neglecting that level. I'm calling this the lowest price. That only belongs to Binance during the liquidation. And now we're trading between that level and the previous low. I think it will be bullish if Bitcoin goes sideways and BitTensor reclaims this level of 162. Also, I don't understand if Bitcoin is really now defending a level, why Tensor hasn't done anything significant. There's a lot of weakness in the chart, which is a little bit worrying for this one. Yeah, I guess people are hating altcoins and they're just dumping everything they have. At 245, there's a potential liquidation that is attractive. 245 is right there around support. If we reclaim this as support, we can hit that level of liquidation. That is what I have. If you reclaim the 161, you could go for 245 and hit that liquidation level. In terms of RSI, they're still on the weekly nothing. We have 2 pivots in there. There's no breakout. There's no guarantee that if we break out in here, it's going to hold. We haven't, we took the lows of 35, getting into 34. So that's confirming the downside in here. But really don't know where this could stop. Notice that it's been at 27, so it could fairly go and create a range here below for accumulation during the bear market and stay there for quite a while. This setup sounds like sexy, interesting, entertaining, but it's not guaranteed. It's low likely to happen, but it's all I have. That's kind of the point. And I won't take that trade. I'm not touching this. Not at all. XRP, at least not in the bear market. You know, why exposing myself to a long right there at this point in time? If there was like a golden entry and something is really crazy happening with Tensor, I will be the first one to tell you. But it's not the case, my friend. XRP is finding support at 134. Last week we were talking about losing these levels, losing the $2. It formed a nice double top with a target to 0.15, and we have achieved out of the 91%, we have achieved 41. So we're getting close to halfway achieving the full technical target. Not that we have to get there. And also we are losing the bull market support band in here. This is the bull market support for XRP, specifically on the weekly. 1, 2, 3, bounce, breakout, disaster. So that was the trap. We need to move that there now. And we need to monitor when this guy breaks out. And we need to consider that layer 1, fake out. Layer 2, the one that I move, fake out. And we now are in a layer 3, if you want. Reclaiming 37 is bullish, but I don't want to be chasing bullish things at this point. I rather let the market do its thing, which is to reset this year. There can be bounces from support. So if you want some exposure at 134 at the cost of puking into 74, you know, and average that big range, fine. Maybe it starts rallying from lower. There's no guarantee it's going to rally from here. But if Bitcoin rallies from here, XRP could go back to the scene of the crime at $2 and give it a kiss. You know, that will be cute if it happens. If you take that trade, do it with a small amount, right? XRP, look at how disastrous is when it starts distributing. Just look somewhere else because it's a disaster zone. And that's why I distributed all of it. Right, next one. Oh no, let's go for liquidity. What am I talking about? XRP. So more people asking for SUI, CRV. Cheers, master of TA. Thanks. Is it a good time to start accumulating some altcoins? I think it's starting to become a good time to start accumulating, right? So if you are gonna deploy into a single coin $1,000 in the full bear market, you need to think that exercise. For example, Solana, you put the full $1,000 into Solana at $67 and it could go to 25. So you need to come up with your own approach, how to distribute that, rather than distribute, that's not the right word, how you absorb good prices in the bear market in a way that you get some exposure, decent exposure, and you don't end up chasing price. Because if the bear market ends and you start some rallies, there will be rallies in the way, by the way. But if you see the actual beginning of a bull market and you are not deployed enough, you're going to have to think, I need to wait now 4 more years. And that has happened in the past to me, but the past cycle it didn't. I'm glad it didn't. I could have deployed more, always. You can always say that, but you know, it was really good. Much better than expected. So on XRP, so this continues to dragging here. If we had a rally, let me see if this can reach $2. So if this rally within this pattern, it could get into 1.9. And I think that's interesting. Liquidation levels are big at 244. But again, this belongs to the area of liquidations that I will reserve for the next cycle. You know, be my guest if we get there. You know, I don't touch XRP at all. Below the price, there is the $1 still to hit on XRP and the 39 cents. Let me see what we can find beyond that level. There's not enough history. Nope, unfortunately not. Let's put this like that just to see. And let's see just the levels below. So yeah, 42, 36, $1 are important, relevant. They're peaks. There's a shallow level below 0.9. So on XRP, 0.9 could be a great area maybe to start accumulating if you don't have any XRP. And then between the 40 to the 25 level, that is the previous range in case there is a full failure. And you want to take advantage of everybody else dying, literally. Once we get there, everybody will have capitulated, I will expect. Next coin, I don't have any more coins. I can go with the requests. That's great. Guys, from now, I'm going to count to 10. I'm going to review the coins in the order of the most recent one that appears in the chat. So I'm going to count to 10. The next one that I read is the one that I'm going to do. So keep the chat busy. That really helps the channel. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There you go. There is no coin. No one is writing anything. That's a bear market. Frax. What is Frax? Is it a... And remember to mention if it's a coin, because some people are requesting stocks, and then I go crazy trying to find it. So if this is a coin, it should be, listed on Binance. How come I never heard about this? Frax, look at the amount of longs, more than ever in the whole listing. In terms of social, getting noisy at a 0.12% out of all the noise in social networks. The peak is 0.79%, which is impressive. So we got a sell signal due to all that due to all the excessive longs, which are at 83%. On the weekly on Frax, we got a resistance incoming at 54 on the weekly. And this is creating this channel. There's been a breakout. That is the breakout. And it needs to... I'm going to put a level in here, something like this, connecting those two levels. Statistically, it's not great what I'm doing, but, you know, we should defend 34. Let's put both things. What we need to defend, and let's put the upper end potential target of 53. Let's give it a bit more time. Yeah, 53. And let's zoom in here. So we need to defend the level of 48.59, pretty much 50 cents. Let's defend that. Psychological level 2, and upside can be into 1.5. So whether we do the bullish divergence, I suspect if we do the bullish divergence, that will be at 200%. We've been in this level already, and we keep putting lower lows, so that makes the 1.5 less likely. We already tested that level. Oh, that is not great. So we lost the level of support. We approach it as resistance. Everybody got extremely excited right at resistance. Now they're getting squashed. That can push into 50 cents. If we get into 50 cents, we get a chance of a bounce up. Watch out with that being 1 or $1. Watch out with that, because we already test this guy. This guy already took that liquidity, so it's less attractive now. It's not impossible, but it's less attractive, unfortunately. That is the level I'm looking to defend, and I'm saying again, hopefully we defend it. Look at all this manipulation. 1, manipulation 2. It must be really low cap, I guess. In terms of trend, well, that's the trend I'm using. But since it's lower highs every time, that's why I'm tempted to say, be careful with the expectation of hitting 1.5, which is reaching the top of this channel, because we already did that before, and we might not be able to put an equal high against the 1.5. So that is a bit dangerous there. Next coin is Monath. Remember, I take always whatever is the latest comment. I'm going to drop this into the daily. It's holding support at 17 cents, more or less around there. It's forming potentially in here something cool. Let's see. So that is a resistance. It's resistance again. It's hoping, it is trying to form a double bottom at 21 cents, which could push the price into 26. And RSI, it has already broken out. You could say that this was the breakout and that we should be defending this, which we have not been defending perfectly. So let's put it like that. And the current rally so far is putting a higher high today on the momentum, and it needs to defend 45. 45. Let's defend 45. Let's see, how can it be so low? So if it comes back and tests 43, price will go to 13.7. That's disappointing. I guess we cannot afford really to go and test that support. We need to continue with acceleration here and go into the resistance. Yeah, but watch out. A failure, even testing support can be really painful in here. That's I guess, the takeaway. Yeah, so if you accumulated 17, if you accumulated at the lows, at the final support, and you got lucky because you understand support and resistance, now you're in profit. So I want you to think that needs to be trailed into 21. Once you get to 21, it might get rejected multiple times. And a failure can come back into support, which is at 13. At that point, you're underwater, and probably there will be another hit back. But, you know, you cannot really time it perfectly. So don't assume that you have to buy 13 and you're going to get a bounce into 17. It could be used for DCA, but I will never DCA an asset I never heard about before. Next coin is CRV, and I'm glad you requested that because last week an elite member was asking for that and I forgot to do it. Let's go to weekly. Right, we are right at the support on the weekly, 23 cents. And that's where we were trading in July. And, you know, in 2020, we were trading around that 28. We broke this channel to the downside. And we got a point of control at 27, 28 as resistance and support at 24. Nothing guarantees that we're going to hold that support. But in the way to the next of resistance, we have that point of control of 27, the most traded area in the chart. Yeah, basically right there at 28, most traded area. So that could act as accumulation, but if we lose it, it might act as resistance throughout the bear market. So hopefully we hold that 28. RSI broke out, but it failed. So we need to put this like that and hope that we can get a breakout from 35 RSI. So we need to go beyond 35 to really get us out of here. So we need to conquer the 0.28. That is the resistance where we can see a breakout. And the breakout of this, if it doesn't fail like the previous one, could get you at the very least into 34, which is the previous support of all this trading range in here. And that's the setup that I'm looking for these days on the vast majority of the coins. Go back into what you lost. Into, not precisely, not the same number. You trail it into that, right? You don't put a limit order and say, the Trading Parrot said that everything is going to hit what it got lost. No, it's not that deterministic. Don't trade deterministic. This is the world where deterministic dies, okay? You need to be flexible and you need to adapt to what the price is telling you. The price is the boss. You're the peasant. So incline your head and say, okay, price, let's go there. Act like that. BTC bullish preparation. Let's go with CAS. This is Caspa. It's funny. In Spanish, this coin sounds really funny. You know what is Caspa in Spanish? It's disgusting. You know when people scratch their hair, and something falls from the hair? That thing. It's true. So whenever I hear I'm going to trade Caspa, it sounds really weird to me. Because that's my main language. It's not my first language. My first language was German, actually. But you're not going to hear me speaking in German anytime soon. Don't worry. Right. What's going on with Caspa in here? Did that double bottom, bounce, lower highs, acceleration, lowest levels of longs, very quiet socials. And that was support. Tried to reclaim twice the 0.10 and it couldn't. It lost that support too. So incoming we have a 0.015. And that is what's the next support at least. And we spent already multiple weeks below support. We are putting bullish divergence in here potentially. If we hold this as a pivot and we bounce back into 0.042, and that is a confirmed pivot, and we go into resistance, then you're going to say in a couple of weeks, this is a bullish divergence, and there is a slowdown of the carnage, right? Because here is lower, 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 higher. So that is the first indication that we might be in an area of accumulation. I'm not sure it's going to be the lowest in the bear market. Definitely, I cannot guarantee that for anything, literally. But we are looking into something that eventually breaks out from there. Yeah. Let's look at liquidation levels, if we can find anything for short term. Now we are 53 people. Wow. We doubled down. We used to stream with 1,000, 2,000 people, but you know, this is bear market. And let me tell you, the day that I say everything is bottoming, I'm going to stream and I'm going to have 10 people. And those 10 people are going to buy the bottom. That's how markets work. That's how markets work. This is a lower low in here, and we got some levels to liquidate at 41, but there's a quite good chunk of liquidations on Caspa to the upside from 40 to 56. And that could build that pivot and produce the bullish divergence because we go into the 41 resistance. So that was support, and that is building liquidations into 50. So this could bounce from here into 40 or into 50, build the pivot, get a breakout from there out of the squeeze. That will be fantastic. But I am telling you, there's nothing guaranteed. We are in a bear market. So please, please, don't be homo child in here. On the weekly, this is a bullish pattern with the momentum pointing in the other direction with a different triangle, different slope. It's fantastic. But bear market. Whatever I say, bullish, but bear market. Don't forget that. Don't go all in. Don't assume we are building the final bottom of the bear. This fundamental, this coin is fantastic, and the CEO, you know, is whatever. He deserves a statue or whatever. No. They are all ugly people. All CEOs of all crypto projects are pretty much narcos. Treat them like that and you're going to be better. If you start buying that a CEO is fantastic, you know, look 2 cycles forward and you're going to look back and you're going to say, how come I was swallowing that? I'm so stupid. You are better off thinking like me. Next coin. Aero. Ooh. I haven't done this in a while. When was I doing Aero? I think on Paul Baron, they like a lot Aero. Yeah, you can tell why they like it because, you know, in these big channels, they like this type of coins. They like this one. There was another one that they were addicted to that coin. They were constantly asking me, can you do TA? And I was saying, it's going to be a disaster. They kicked me out because of saying those things. But it was a disaster, right? It was a disaster. So they should come back to me and say, you know, come back, please, and tell us what is actually a disaster because it was a disaster. Look at this. Ugly. Aero. And even I had people in this channel telling me, well, I purchased those coins in those big channels because they told me so. And then I discovered your channel and I'm no longer watching them because I got completely wrecked from listening to that crap. So, you know, you need to brainwash now and start learning the actual thing that makes you money. Whether it's entertaining, well, that depends on what sort of humor you have. We are right at support at 29. We have a breakdown that started in September. Right at that candle, you were like, you know, distribute, please. And it did the distribution. And what do we have now? We have a slope that is not very pronounced, in my opinion. It's starting to slow down in here as it approaches the support clearly. You can see aggressive there and then kind of more mild move down into 30s. We need to break out from there. But my opinion is that this guy is going to lose that support, the 30. I'm sorry, that's my opinion, you know. You could trade support in here if you really believe in Santa. And it might play out. You know, sometimes people get lucky. But I think I wouldn't trade this. In no way. Look at all this. Look at all the weakness. It's just too much. There's no bounce from support. There's not even a little bit of green in here. Let's see if it's attractive to move it up now. And another thing, by the way, I speak bad about these coins, but when I'm holding, let's say I started trading a year ago and I was holding Aero now at these lows. then I will have to decide this was just a pump and dump scheme, and I will just sell it at the lows between that, or I'm going to hold it until the next bull cycle when we are in some sort of altcoin season, whether it lasts just 2 days like the ones in this cycle, or it lasts 3 months like in 2022. Then at that point, no matter how fast it's moving up, I'm going to distribute and I'm going to get rid of it against strength. And you can wait 3 years and do that. At some point, it's going to move up. Yeah. But many coins don't recover, and that's the fear of the retail, that you have to distribute here because it will never come back. But many of them recover. Some of them that you're going to hold with that plan of waiting for recovery will never recover, I'm afraid. But not all of them are going to be completely decimated. There's plenty of liquidations to the upside, very similar amount. They look shiny. Same shininess around there. It's not that much because I'm having to throw the threshold down, but from around 57 into 90 cents, and that could mean 90 cents will be like if if we had a pump like that and then lose the lows, that will take all that liquidity. What is going to happen first? Losing the bottom and then chasing that liquidity, or chasing the liquidity and then dumping? I don't know. But it take advantage of that if you are considering to get out this cycle and you're already at a loss and you just want any pump to sell it, which probably everybody's thinking here to do that. It could go into that liquidity, get the shorts out of the way, and you use that as your exit. There is resistance in here, and that's why there is liquidity up until there. So that is a plan. It's not necessarily going to play out, unfortunately. Let's go with Drift and continue with the request. That really helps the channel. I'm sorry if I cannot really cover all the coins. There's still some time for the stream. What? Drift protocol? No, mate, I cannot do TA of this. I'm sorry. And ATH. ATH. Okay, so it lost the 25. It's building a new trading range in here. And it's got the resistance incoming at 38. What? 38 is below the price? No, there's something wrong. It could be because of the resolution. Let's increase this to 1000. There you go. It's crazy. So there is this problem on TradingView when an asset is priced so low. When you do the calculations on the reverse RSI, I think that the what is it called? Approximation. It's not approximation in the. I forgot the name of that in mathematics in computer science. So at 99, notice that I multiply by 1000. So at 99.5, we got resistance, and that is the level where this was trading, which could turn into resistance. So if we reclaim 99, we can have some move to the upside, but it might turn into just another test of resistance and lower low on this asset. Next is going to be SUI. And we are on the weekly. We are finding support at 88 for 2 weeks in a row. Hopefully this can rally back into 135 to do the same setup I was highlighting on most of the coins. A move towards this level. Not necessarily guarantee that you reach it fully, but that sort of dead cat bounce. Think about this one did move into the next level of resistance and then it got sold off. This may or may not before it looks for another low. The actual point of control of SUI, the previous accumulation was around this. most of the coins are performed so bad this cycle that they are either finding the previous range of the previous bear market, or they're taking down that level. XRP still hasn't gone that low. It's doing better than other coins at the defense of the people that like XRP. And Solana, for example, still trading in a higher range relative to the lows of 8 or 10. I don't remember what was the low of Solana in the previous bear. This one, SUI definitely can make it into the cents, you know, getting into 50 cents or something like that in another peak of Bitcoin. So prepare for that, but there's an opportunity in here to trade this range into that level, trailing, you know. Look at how quick this went there, but then it got rejected within the day, within the week. So if you're looking somewhere else and thinking, this is going to rally into my targets of $4, no. That is absolutely like playing lotto. Are there indicators you're using public? Most of them, really. I mean, if you think about it, I'm using RSI. RSI is public. Lunar Crash, the data is public. I just put it in an oscillator look. You know, I apply RSI or whatever on top of the data. Lunar Crash publishes their data of the social dominance and all of those things. And then I just, you can ask ChatGPT to make you this. Take a screenshot. ChatGPT or Claude will build it for you in a lapse of a second, literally. Then the delta longs and shorts is data, I don't remember, from Bitfinex. Is another visualization as an oscillator. If you want to contribute, you know, to the community, you can buy the indicators from Patreon. But you know, for full transparency, nowadays Claude can replace us all, so it can replace me and everything I've done too. You know, I look into so many channels that are selling software, and all I can think of is how long will Claude take to build that? And for example, you know, this oscillator here that I built with Claude literally in 1 hour, and I deploy it to my server, and it runs every day at the same hour, captures the open interest, and it creates all this, and it's got backtester and everything in 1 hour, right? You know, you have to pay CryptoQuant for that. This one updates 2 days later. Mine updates in the day, and I build it in 1 hour. Okay, that's the situation we are currently in with the indicators and proprietary tech. I forgot how to pronounce that crap. Let's go with HBAR. Oh, before that, let me see the liquidation levels on SUI. I think it's worth for SUI. Yeah. So we have this channel in here. I believe that's why I was saying if we lose the 130, that we're going to find a trading range around here. Where was this? 6 of... So this was 1 week ago. And we are around here. We are building bullish divergences on the daily. Volume put a high as May of 2025, which is pretty substantial. And I'm monitoring this for a breakout. We're exiting from 18 into 30s. We're building structure, hopefully around here, to then go and hit the one. That's too close. I think if we break out, we're going to be already very close to 1.3. And then maybe we can chase levels like $2 for that potential rally. Although $2 was already chased. So maybe we're going to get a rally into 1.5 this time, if this builds that structure and you get the breakout on SUI. In terms of liquidation levels, there's something broken in here for some reason. Why is it not loading the liquidity? I need to tell them because it's broken. I cannot see liquidity there. So let's go for CoinGlass. SUI. Please, let's do Uniswap. Narrative changes cycle to cycle. Will this alt ever recover if we reach nuclear prices to the downside? That is always my concern. I don't know how to do the AI thing. I will have to learn that. Yeah, that's what my wife keeps telling me. She says, yeah, it's impressive what you do with the AI, that you build things and that you just, for example, in the past 10 days, I've been just remotely chatting with the agent, building things and saying, download these things from this exchange and that, do this analysis, percentage, do Monte Carlo analysis and blah, 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 blah. And it does that in the background. I can be even driving in my car and I can say, I can tap on the phone and on the speaker say, how is it going? Oh, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Okay. Have you done this? No. Okay, so is it overfitting? Oh, let me check on that. Okay, check on that and let me know when you're done. It's like if I had a full team of quants at home, but she tells me, you do that because you're an engineer, you have a PhD, you know your shit. Most people won't be able to take advantage of that. Yeah, maybe, but it won't take very long for someone to build something in the middle that makes it easier for everybody, literally to say, spit me software, and it will spit you software well-defined, eventually without you knowing what is well-defined as an end user. 117 liquidations on SUI, that's very close. Interesting is the 155. Remember I was saying 155? That's where the most liquidity is at the moment, and that will still qualify as a lower high and failure. You can reclaim the 134 going to 1.5 at the point of control local there, and then get a rejection with a lower low relative to the $2 that you already took that liquidity. You already test rejection from there. So I'm not expecting in the short term to go straight into $2 again. There's no motivation to do that unless Bitcoin really recovers over 80,000, and then we have to trail it for longer in that case. Do you use the Pro tier on Claude? Yes, because I need it for not just for my Vive coding, Vive trading, which I call it like that, but I also need it for the content I produce, right? At the moment I do the videos and I need to put tweets and stuff, and it needs to produce all of that for me, otherwise I will need 80 hours a day to do what I'm doing now. So I get the most expensive one, and it's definitely worth. It costs me a fraction of what I need to pay a member of the team, but it does probably 10 times the work of a member of the team at the moment, which is sad. Uniswap. And I think I missed HBAR. Let's do HBAR first. HBAR behaves very similar to XRP, so but it's gone lower. It's already in the previous trading range from March. It's holding these levels of the highs of January 2023. Very little number of longs. We are at 32. I still don't see a significant breakdown there. There was this breakdown, but not below the percentile. And there's two signals. It broke down below this channel. Where is the revenge area here? It will be something like 47. 47. So basically going back to 13 cents, which we already did. So that makes 11 a more realistic conservative target. I'm not saying 13 is unachievable. I'm saying we've been there. We took that motivation out of the way. There's no longer the same motivation that there was before we reached already 13. So why going again there if we are in a downtrend with lower highs? Now, Bitcoin reverses, and it's going to twist my speech into let's follow Bitcoin. But if Bitcoin just stays at this range, just ranging, we're going to find very difficult to go beyond 11 without Bitcoin helping his friend HBAR that is in trouble at the moment. You get what I mean? I hope so. Do you use the Pro tier? Do you have a PC running AI? No, I just keep my Mac all day on, and I have some virtual private servers as well. Whenever I need to deploy something, I put it there. Which one I'm missing? We did HBAR CVX. I think that's going to be the last one. Oh my God, it's so late. CVX. My God, this is looking so flat, the range. Just put a grid bot in here. Literally. Between $2 and $7. Of course, I'm joking, right? We've been in this range for very long. You don't put a grid bot if you've been literally from July 2022 in the same range and expect it to go for 4 more years in the same trading range. Things are changing though. Longs are coming back in there, which triggered a sell signal because it was too many. That happened right at $2.5. That signal trigger on week close, and it's been coming back to test the same support. If this survives that support of 1.6, that momentum might help to go back into the upper range. We need to be aware that there are lower highs at the moment, so we're gonna find resistance on price at 4.4. That's one of the resistance that we could find. This is a breakout. We can defend it with that slope, something like that. Ideally, we put a higher high then, and then we come back for support. We could break the support in here by testing support because we are in an area where we can put the bullish divergences. This is already a bullish divergence, right? Because you have equal lows and higher lows on the other side, but you could do another one by breaking this support and defending 42, which is a higher low on the other side. That will build another bullish divergence and a stronger case for a leg up in here. Now I'm noticing that the legs up that you see in here are very explosive. So I wonder if you build a lot of liquidation levels and then you just chase them into the upper range. Let's see if we have a case for that on CVX. Right. We have an opportunity to hit 2.4. 2.4 is just around the corner and it's not very high. But, well, there are some shorts accumulated that they built throughout these weeks of resistance. They placed the shorts expecting this to break, but support is still holding. So if this holds, it might chase them at 2.4. And by getting into 2.4 and holding there, we could build a double bottom. I think the double bottom is based on that and breaking out from 2.1, putting the candle close beyond 2.1 makes that stronger case in here for a double bottom, a breakout, and targeting areas like possibly $3. Right. I think I missed doing uni. I promise it. So that's going to be the actual final one. That's all a failure, 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 failure. And we are here. So we already put a similar low as the bottom of the bear market before at 30. And lows of longs, extremely low. So it might be interesting to add into Uni now that is selling. What's going on with Bitcoin? It's trading at 67,800. I think I'm interested to start adding on Uni. I don't have any more. I have very little. Just to do some transactions, but not enough really to make profit if it goes up. I like this level. I'm gonna mark it in here. That's as an initial entry, right? We can bleed a little bit longer in here and put new lows. I expect that every crypto asset, same as Bitcoin, to put new lows on RSIs. So there is a downwards sloping support trend line for weekly RSIs throughout the whole ecosystem. You're going to struggle to find one coin that has been listed for 2 cycles that doesn't have a lower low on the RSI. So once you get to the 30, that is your poke in the shoulder. Start paying attention for accumulation. We are entering the season of accumulation. That is not the buy this or you die because you're going to miss the whole rally up. No. With just a plan and then look up for the levels, maybe 2.9, sure. And can we get to $2? Yeah, between $2.9 and $2 could be a great area for accumulation for Uniswap. High risk is a high risk asset. That doing a good accumulation doesn't take away the high risk. It's still high risk. Less risk than just buying at any price or buying with $1 million YouTube channel tells you to do so. And that's it for today. Thanks so much, guys. Any other coins that you missed today, wait for the next live stream. Or become an elite member, and I'm going to send the poll unit in a few days, and you can just write it down there, and then you have it locked in for the next stream, secure. So I won't miss it if it has some votes at the top. So thanks so much. I'll see you in the next one. Hit the like, write down a comment down below.